you could see this, then this is a workshop where we are going to be literally shifting into a higher vibrational version of ourselves. That's what we're going to be doing collectively. That's what we're going to be doing together. And I'm going to be showing you step by step how you can create your dream reality in that of 2024. So welcome everyone that's joining. If you can hear my voice okay, can you please press a number 1? Number 1 means yes. We're going to get into it here in a minute. We are going to be doing that of a guided meditation for wiring in the highest vibrational version of us. I'm going to do my best to speak in a manner like this tone and pace so I don't speak too fast. And I have everything set up, I believe. So we're going to give it a few minutes and we're going to get into it. I'm excited to share some of the content I have with you. Some of the things I shared today are things that honestly I've never really shared on YouTube yet. And I'm excited about it. So welcome everyone that is joining. Got about 1,000 people in so far. We're going to give it another few minutes. Let everyone come in. Can everyone hear me okay? Can everyone hear me okay? Is my voice buttery smooth? How buttery smooth is my voice on a scale of 1 to very, very buttery? Okay, cool. Awesome. So, let's start off. I'm gonna start off while we're waiting everyone to get here. First off, where's everyone from? Let's see where everyone is from. I'm in Austin, Texas. I know there's people from all over the world, and the cool thing about this is when we connect to the group energy here in a little bit, we're gonna be connecting and creating that of an energy coherence between us all. And what we're gonna be able to do is to amplify that energy inside of ourselves. Now, the interesting thing is, we got people from everywhere. We got people from Alaska, got some people from Taiwan, Canada, Germany, Australia, Berlin, Florida, Croatia, Germany, Switzerland. Nice. Got people from everywhere. India. Awesome. Yeah, it's cool that we're all able to connect in that way. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be, in a way as well, looking at reverse engineering the future version of us, knowing that version already exists. That's one of the crazy things about 2017 when I went full-time on YouTube and when I shifted my life in a gigantic way, was I felt like I connected to a part of myself that I then began to resonate with, and I literally became. It's like it already existed. So in this live that we do today, part of the intention is for you to shift into a new version of yourself and to literally broadcast a new frequency, to broadcast a new energy. Because remember, you get in life a direct reflection of who you are being. Who you are being is a combination of how you think, how you feel, and how you act. How you think, how you feel, how you act, day in and day out, is what is getting you the reflection you have in your life. Now, the interesting thing is think about it like an antenna. We are going to be talking about visualization. We're going to be talking about energetically connecting to the reality you want to experience with some practical tools you can use to vibrationally resonate with the reality you want. These are things that I've applied in my life to create my dream life. These are things from live events that we've ran that thousands of people have been to either virtually or in person, of techniques that work. This isn't just esoteric ideas. I'm going to show you practically how to wire in a new version of you. I'm going to show you how to have a meditation practice that allows you to connect to the quantum field where you're able to create from being the source instead of walking around being the cameo in everyone else's movie. So, think of an antenna. Think of it like a radio dial, even. Imagine a radio dial at, 111 FM. 111 FM. Now, if you want to tune to 111 FM, you don't have to create it. It already exists. It's about energetically attuning to that frequency, and as you energetically tune to that frequency, you then perceive of it. It's like a radio dial. And in an interesting way, you are like a radio dial in the sense that your reality is reflecting back the station you are tuned to. So creating your dream life in 2024 is about energetically tuning to the reality that already exists. Just like the radio waves already exist, you're just tuning to a frequency. What quantum physics shows us is that there's an infinite number of parallel realities that exist. And what we can do is we can begin to tune to it. And as you tune to it, it shifts your reality. You tune to it through your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, and the dominant stories that you have. Let's talk for a minute about expectation. All right, and then we're going to get into this. I'm going to show you the process by which you can shift. And then we're going to do that at the guided meditation here in a little bit. Expectation. There's a book. It's called The Expectation Effect. Has anyone heard me talk about this recently? The expectation effect. There's this effect that based on our expectations, we experience things in our life that are in alignment with those expectations. An expectation is sort of like a belief, but like, what do you expect to happen in your life? How do you expect this next year to go for you? Now, they've done scientific studies with this, where if you get that of, let's say, mice, and you were to give people, you were to have mice in a lab. And what you do is you go into that lab and you write on a Post-it note on that of these different like cages of the mice. And you have a Post-it note that says smart and a Post-it note that says dumb. And there's like 50 mice. You go into this and you put smart and dumb Post-it notes over different cages. Then what happens is you take random people, you bring them into that of this lab, and you say, okay, we're going to put these mice through this maze. So what you do is you give people these mice, and some of the Post-it notes on these mice's cage say smart and some say dumb. What happens is the mice that have the note that says smart, on average, you put them through the maze. You put the ones that say dumb through the maze. You have these people that are putting them through the maze. What happens is the ones that have the word smart on it go through the maze about twice as fast. So what's interesting is the expectation of the people, the volunteers that come in and they put the dumb ones through and the smart ones through. The smart ones go through twice as fast. Here's the crazy thing. The mice, they aren't smarter or dumber. It's literally you went in there and you put the Post-it notes on it randomly. They've proven this as well when you have that of classrooms where you tell a teacher, these kids are the smart kids, these are the slow kids. Now what happens is the teacher expects the kids that are labeled smart to be smart and the kids that are slow to be slow. And guess what happens? The kids that are labeled smart become smarter, or they perform that way. The ones that are slow perform slow. Can you imagine if you put your kid, by the way, in one of those trials and you had no power over which they labeled your kid as slow, so your kid's now like slower in school? It'd be pretty messed up, honestly. You never think about these trials. You've got these poor mice putting through all these things where they get shocked and all this stuff. These kids going through. You just signed up your kid to go through this little thing, you know? But nonetheless, no, okay, so let's look at the science of this, the energy of this, the quantum field version of this. What if the teacher, expecting the smart kids to be smarter, maybe makes more eye contact with them? Maybe it's more patient with them because it knows they're going to get the right answer eventually because they're sort of quote smart. Now, the thing is as well, the joke to this whole thing is when people said these kids are smart and these kids are slow, there was no rhyme or reason to it. It was random. Now, in our life, how many times do we have expectations for how things go in our life and what we expect from other people that we say, oh, they're treating us like this way. This is the effect that's happened in my life. And you think it's built into reality. These are the smart rats. These are the dumb rats. This smart kid, dumb kid. I'm this, I'm that. You are literally pulling out of the quantum field different things based on your expectations. Let me give you another example of this. Is this resonating first off? Let me see in the chat on one if this is resonating. It's awesome. We got about 1,500 people here right now. Connecting to the group energy. We're going to be doing that live meditation in a little bit. Right now, we're going through the teachings of how you can transform into a new you. Okay? Okay, I see a lot of ones. Ones means yes. Let me tell you another example of expectation. Okay? This thing right here. I have worn this thing every single day for 5 years. Literally, I got in the app, I got this like thing that says, you've worn this 1,837 days over the last 5 years. And I divided it up, and it's like pretty much 5 solid years I've been wearing this thing. Now, basically, what this thing is it measures my heart rate, it measures my sleep, it measures all these biomarkers. Basically, let me tell you why I'm not wearing this thing anymore. Even though I love it and I've worn it for so long. One, there was a pretty big reflection when I had this huge tan line and I was getting a tattoo, and it was so painful because it was so white and dry. That was part of it. The whole time getting the tattoo, I'm like, oh my God. It was a constant reminder of this very sensitive part. The other aspect of it, though, was that I realized that every morning I would wake up and I would go in here and I would look into this app. I haven't worn it in weeks, so I have to go back quite a bit. But it would tell me, let me see if I could find. It would tell me, here's your recovery. You have slept 7 hours and 6 minutes last night. And of that, you had 2 hours and 29 minutes of deep sleep, 1 hour and 44 minutes of REM sleep. Or no, of REM sleep, deep sleep. Basically, it shows that of how I slept the night before. Now, this I thought was a great thing, right? I've been wearing it for 5 years. I get to look at it, and every morning I wake up and I go, I had good sleep. And then it tells me my recovery, if my body's recovered. Now, here's the funny thing. A lot of times, and this is for a lot of people that use this kind of stuff, by the way, this kind of biohacking stuff, you may feel great, but then you check the app, and it shows that you didn't get as good sleep as you thought, and then you feel less good. So then what happens is you perform less good during the day. You literally don't have as great of a day because you keep reminding yourself, well, I believe and I expect not to have a great day because this shows my recovery is not great. I've had times where it's the opposite too. I've had times where this shows I have horrible recovery and I feel incredible. And then I'm like, screw it. It's just like this biomarker data thing, right? Or even vice versa. It shows I'm amazingly recovered, but I feel like super tired. So, but I've been wearing it for 5 years. So it's this thing, and I realized I had this story. I don't sleep for more than about 7.5 hours a night. I'm not saying this is bad or good, but that was my expectation. I said, you know what? I've been wearing this thing for 5 years. I had this crazy tan line. I'm just not going to wear it anymore. I took it off about a week and a half ago. Since that week and a half, I don't know exactly how much sleep I get, but I don't wake up every morning expecting to see 7.5 hours of sleep. These last week and a half, I'm not kidding you, I've probably slept 8.5 hours a night every night. My dreams have been more vivid. I've had better, deeper sleep than ever, and I'm not tracking it because I'm not expecting to see a certain amount of sleep. I'm just kind of going with the flow. So by letting this go, by letting go of the app, by letting go of wearing this thing every day, my expectation has shifted to where I'm more trusting now. And now I get deeper sleep than I ever have. with better dreams than I've ever had. And that was another reason. Yeah, I see some people saying because of the electronics. Yeah, there's Bluetooth. And it's like, how does Bluetooth affect you energetically? I don't know. I've always kind of known that. And I sleep with it. It's got this, it's not like an Apple Watch that has like a cellular data coming from it, but it's still Bluetooth. Nonetheless, I stopped wearing it. And I sleep. I don't expect it, therefore I sleep better. So the lesson in that, though, is what is your expectation for this next year? And how might you be holding yourself back? Like, what are you measuring? How are you measuring these things? So when it comes to creating your dream reality and it really becoming the highest vibrational version of yourself, understand that it's really a process that happens the more you give yourself permission to be the real you. The more you let go of the things that no longer serve. Now, I'm going to also talk a little bit about the quantum field, and I want to talk about some stuff I've never really shared before when it comes to that of the past. Now, let's look at the process real quick. Now, let me move this down real quick. Can everyone still hear me okay? I had to move the mic down just a tad so that I could basically show you this whiteboard. All right? So, who's ready for me to get into a little bit of some new content? Awesome. We're going to get into meditation a little bit later. No, I'm not angry. I have a lot of passion in my voice. Saw a couple comments. Some of you know, though. I have a lot of energy. What can I say? So when it comes to you becoming the new you, now understand this right over here. It's not completely important, by the way. This is more for me than it is for you because I'm going to explain it to you. All right? So if you can't read it perfectly, it's going to be okay. I promise. So let's look at this. Now, you want to shift into a higher vibrational you. That's probably why you're here. How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? I'm just kidding. I'm gonna share with you. Now, when it comes to you becoming this new you, now first off, let's understand a couple key things real quick. That is that you get in life a reflection of how you think, feel, and act. What are your dominant beliefs about reality? Now, what happens is most of us continue to create the same thing over and over in our life because of why? Does anyone know the word? It's very similar to family. Does anyone know the word? Why do we continue to create the same thing over and over again? Because remember, how we think, feel, and act is on autopilot. Survival, it's close. There you go. Pink Moon Goddess got it. Familiar. Familiar. Similar almost to family. Now what happens is because the old self is familiar, we will think, feel, and act equal to, and in a way, fight for certain things in our life, dynamics to stay the same because we're used to it. It feels safe and normal, even though sometimes it might not be that safe or that healthy. You might attract people that remind you of maybe a mom and dad dynamic where maybe there's control involved, and you might attract that control into your life and not know or realize that there's like almost a yearning for that energy, for that familiar energy, even though you know it's maybe not beneficial for you. So, what we are going to be looking at today is in what ways is the familiar how you think, feel, and act on autopilot? And what are the dominant beliefs you have about your reality? Now let's get into some quantum physics information. Okay? It's getting a little hot in here. I'm going to take this off, and we're going to get into it. So, when we're talking about that, of all of this, I want to share with you a little bit about how I become aware of this, and also how I can tell from my own life that when I shifted out of different energies, it completely shifted everything. Now, the familiar old self has, in a way, a comfort zone around it. And what happens is that comfort zone is kind of like an ego preservation mechanism that's trying to keep us in familiar energy. Now, what happens is anytime we step out of this comfort zone, we feel fear. We feel, I'm going to do something I've never done before. Now, remember, all magic happens in the unknown. All magic happens in the unknown. So you're never going to create magic from thinking, feeling, and acting as the same old, stinky, outdated version of yourself. So what happens, though, is you get in life that direct reflection. The key is energetically tuning to a new version of you, making a new choice about who you are, and doing that repetitiously every single day. And as you do it every single day, you begin to change your sense of identity. You begin to change how you view yourself. Let's all take in a deep breath in and out right now. Let's take a deep breath in, just so we can cohesively connect the energy within the group. All right? Let's do that. So take a deep breath in with me. Let it all go. 2 more deep breaths. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Bring it up to the top, and then let it go. Allow yourself to feel more and more relaxed, more and more present with every breath you take, knowing that throughout this workshop today, you will be wiring in more and more of who you really came here to be. You will get more clarity with how you prefer, with knowing how you want to exist in reality, how you want to think, how you want to feel, how you want to act. Let's take another deep breath in through the nose. Let it all go. There you go. Is everyone able to hear that? Could you hear me okay? Right. Awesome. So, now what I want to share with you is one of the knowing that basically the process of transformation is this. I'm going to show you real quick. It's very simple. The key to creating a new you is first off becoming aware of the old you, the outdated you, of how you've been thinking, feeling, and acting, and even what are the most dominant beliefs and stories you have about yourself. Because ultimately your beliefs create your reality. So if you believe that people treat you poorly, you will go out into reality and you will attract people that either treat you poorly, or you will attract people and you will bring it out of them to treat you poorly. Now, when it comes to this process, it's about becoming aware of those beliefs. And what you end up doing is, as you become aware of them, you can then see that no longer are they really serving you. And as you become aware of that, you can let them go and then have a new belief and a new way you are being, a new way you're existing in reality. So, what most people do is they hear beliefs create reality, and what they do is they may realize they've been creating from a level of thinking. They think better thoughts. They may focus on behaviors. They may focus on acting differently and letting go of a behavior, and then doing that of wondering why you maybe fall back into the old pattern. But one of the reasons that is because the behavior isn't the core. The core is your identity and who you are being. How do you identify yourself? What do you value? From that, then eventually beliefs, thoughts, feelings, emotions, and then action, and then the action you take. So instead of trying to change things at a surface level, you go deeper and you become aware of what these dominant stories are. Now, ultimately, when I look back into my old self-image, because the self-image is also something we are doing everything we can to remain consistent to. Your self-image is this inner self-image we all have that we may not be aware of. Even the self-image around this thing, it's like I'm biohacking. If I let this go, then this means I'm not biohacking my life. When it comes to self-image as well, you want to become aware that you will first off have an autopilot self-image for the way that you see yourself. And if you want to know what that is, all you have to do really is look around and to see how are you currently thinking, feeling, and acting. Back in 2017, it was very clear to me. I was thinking, feeling, and acting equal to a 9-to-5 job going version of me. That's what's funny about alignment. People say they want to get in alignment. You're already in alignment. You're in alignment with the current you that you are. The question is what vibrational you do you want to be in alignment with? That's the real question. Because in 2017, before I went full-time on YouTube, I was thinking, feeling, and acting equal to a 9-to-5 job going version of me. I did not like that 9-to-5 job, but I had a subconscious self-image that was that version of me. And even though I'd complained to other coworkers about how slow it was, eventually what happened is I became aware of that self-image. And I became aware of the pain of that self-image too, realizing this isn't even really me. When people say they have imposter syndrome, the funny thing about imposter syndrome is back in 2017 when I had that 9-to-5 job before I went full-time, I could argue that the 9-to-5 job going version of me of selling women's shoes was more of an imposter than the version of me making videos. I was thinking, feeling, and acting equal to a version of me. It was familiar. It was familiar to have someone else telling me what to do. It was familiar to have upper management with all this corporate politics because back when I was a kid from 7 to 15 years old, there was a whole bunch of corporate politics with my ex-stepmom where I was always in trouble for things. I was always walking on eggshells. Here I am in 2017, also walking on eggshells, having to suck up to managers to get the schedule I want, just like there was a necessity for my brother and I to suck up to my ex-stepmom in order for us not to, just so we could go to school activities and things like that. Very interesting, isn't it? How we recreate familiar childhood dynamics over and over again if we're not aware of it. So, what is your current self-image? I read the book Psycho-Cybernetics back in 2012, actually. I read this book called Psycho-Cybernetics, which is that of a doctor that wrote a book and became fascinated with this whole inner self-image because he recognized as a plastic surgeon that unless people changed their inner self-image, they would feel like, even if they had facial surgery, facial reconstruction, they would not feel any different on the inside unless they also changed their inner self-image. So I learned about this while I had that 9-to-5 job, and what I did is I realized, I said, what is my current self-image? And that's what I want you to really become aware of. What is your current self-image? You're thinking, feeling, and acting to this inner self-image. And you're fighting for it too because it feels familiar. So for me, I realized selling Nordstrom shoes when I went in every day, I expected, talk about the expectation effect, I expected every day the next morning I went in to be, I realized on the top salespeople from the day before, it was the top salespeople at the top, and it was in order of who sold the most. I was always right in the middle. So I said, what is my self-image? And I said, oh, I'm right in the middle. I'm not a top salesperson, but I'm also not the person at the bottom of the list. And the people that were at the top of the list were always at the top of the list. The people who were at the bottom of the list were normally always at the bottom of the list. And I was right in the middle. So I said, okay, I'm an average sales employee. I'm an average when it comes to that sales, employee job. Then I learned about psycho-cybernetics. And then what I did is I said, okay, I have this old familiar self-image. And what I became aware of is I asked myself the question, how would the top selling Aaron, which already existed, remember, because every reality already exists, how does the top selling version of Aaron think, feel, act? How does that version of Aaron greet customers? How does that version of Aaron, does that person greet every customer? What kind of attitude does that version of Aaron have? So what I started to do is I started to become aware of what this is. And I noticed some differences between the old me and the new me. I noticed that the top selling version of Aaron was different than the other one in the sense that I would greet every customer. Whether I thought they'd buy or not, I would just have this attitude of momentum of greeting every customer. That version of me would focus on connecting with people, not on like the outcome of, because it was a sales commission job. So instead of focusing on sales, I'd focus on connecting with people. I'd focus on really wanting people to feel like there was value being added. I'd focus on having fun and showing my sense of humor with people because it was fun. I would focus on, even after they bought the shoe, I would wrap the shoe with certain, it's going to sound stupid, but I did this because it was more about who I was becoming in a way. And I did this as more for me. What I would do is after they bought the shoe, I'd put the shoe in the bag and I would put this tissue over the shoe in a certain way, and it would just look more special. Like if you were to go to Japan and buy something in Japan, the way they wrap their stuff in Japan is so incredible that you just feel like they really care. Like they were literally, you'll buy this little thing from like clothes, they will wrap it in like origami fashion. You'll have like this origami bird that will open up and then you'll pull out a pair of socks. That's how far they go with like how they wrap things. But it's like you feel like they really care. There's a certain energy to that. So what I did is I would do it. I would walk the bag around the corner. I would greet every customer. I had a positive mental attitude. I would really focus on adding value. And guess what ended up happening? I would see myself. I would envision the next day I go into work, I'm going to see myself at the top of that list. And guess what happened? Within a few short days, I go into work. I would be that version of myself. I'd give myself permission to be it. And then I had more and more momentum. And then I was at the top of that list. Interesting how that works. Because we are thinking, feeling, and acting equal to whatever that inner self-image is. You can make a choice like this to shift into a new version of yourself. Now, the funny thing was I was selling women's shoes, and then years later, I'm like, you know what? I don't even like selling women's shoes. I want to do that, of share ideas that I'm passionate about, create YouTube videos. So I use that same philosophy of knowing there's a version of me while I'm now at Barney's New York selling women's shoes. There's a version of me that's already a YouTuber. Realizing that YouTuber version of me was thinking, feeling, and acting equal to that of someone that was making videos. I realized that version of me was making videos every day. So what I chose to do was to literally start making videos every day because the version of me that already exists was making videos every day. So the power of this is understanding the self-image. Now, I want to share some content I've never shared before. Who knew selling women's shoes would lead to an awakening in YouTube success? Who knew? I always thought that was interesting because we'll talk a little bit about persistence. Remind me if I don't talk about persistence later. I want to share a story on persistence with this too, because there's a whole funny story about that. Yes, he is drinking moonshine. This is electrolyte moonshine. Just kidding, it's just electrolytes. And water, obviously. So, now, I want to share with you something I've learned recently that has completely changed the way, and it's made it so much easier to let go of the past. Now, If you were to read the book Power vs. Force or the book Letting Go by David Hawkins, Dr. David Hawkins, talks a lot about how a lot of healing is reframing the past. Reframe. Think about the word reframe. When you reframe the past, you give the past a new meaning. You change the meaning to the past. Back in 2012, when I was in the familiar energy of, at that time, still working at Nordstrom's and women's shoes, but the manager was very, very similar to my ex-stepmom. She was controlling, manipulative. She got away with everything because she was protected by upper management. She would talk down to people. She would make people cry. No joke. We tried getting her fired for literally years. Literally years, tried getting her fired, but couldn't. So eventually what happened is we realized, we just kind of let it go. But then I went through my awakening in 2012, and I realized that the energy with my ex-stepmom, who was controlling, I was in a weird way, I became aware that that led to my spiritual awakening, and I ended up forgiving my ex-stepmom because I saw that it led to that spiritual awakening, and I reframed the meaning to the past in that way. Now, trying to get her fired for 2 years at Nordstrom's and not able to because she's protected by upper management, within 2 weeks of forgiving my ex-stepmom and letting that go, that manager got fired for something really random. No one saw it coming, too. I thought it was interesting that once I healed that energy within myself, that manager left. Now, that's because when you change the meaning to the past, now let's get into some new content. Who's ready for some new content? I know some of these stories you've heard before, and you're like, Aaron, share something new with me, please. There's only 1,800 YouTube videos, and I expect something new in every video. Every video needs something completely mind-blowing and new. Because I watch a lot of the videos, which I'm very grateful that you watch a lot of the videos. Someone says, Aaron, you chose to stay in the job. Aaron, you chose to stay in the job with a crap boss. Why didn't you look for a new job? I did for a while, but honestly, it didn't really even, for some reason, it didn't really go through my mind. I applied at Neiman Marcus at one point, and for some reason, I didn't get the job. And I was confused. I look back now and can see why, actually, because that would have alleviated me having to go full-time on YouTube. But I did for a while look for a new job, but I was also aware it was just, it was continuing to get recreated every job I went to. Nordstrom, same thing. And I had this belief that that's just the way reality is. That's just the way reality is. You just go, and that's corporate politics. A belief system I had was that's corporate politics. Now, we're going to get into some deeper stuff here. Who's ready for some deep stuff? We're going deep into the subconscious mind rabbit hole before we do a meditation a little bit. I share a couple more things. Okay. Now, let's look at this timeline right here. I'm going to back up a little bit. If my voice isn't super buttery smooth, it's going to be okay. So, this right here, this moment right now, as you can see, this moment right now is in the center. Make sure everyone can still hear me okay. Awesome. This moment right now exists, and every time we focus on something from the past, what happens is we literally remember something from the past. And what happens is we take that memory out of the past. This is what neuroscience shows us. We take the memory out of the past that we remember from the past, which we think is a static thing. The past was the past. Not realizing the past is changing every moment. Every moment's a new moment. Every moment you're a new version of you. Now, from the level of consciousness you're in right now, and your beliefs that you're feeling right now, and the energy you're feeling right now, every time you remember something from the past, these key core memories, it's coming from this moment right now. If you are very confident in this moment, it is literally easier for you to remember other moments in your past where you are more confident. If you were in a depressed state right now, it would be easier for you to remember memories in the past of when you had more of that depression energy. It's because literally the neuroscience behind it, the way your brain is wired, is a certain way right now in the present moment because of the state you're in. It's easier. You have more access to memories that are in alignment with where you are right now. So literally, as you change right now in the present moment, you can change your past. Just like you're not going to argue with this probably. If you change your energy right now in the present moment and you make a new choice about who you are, you probably know that you can change future probable events. Imagine this is you having the ideal job or working for yourself. This is your ideal relationship. This is the thing that you've always wanted to do, this fun trip you always wanted to have. If you change your energy in the present moment, you change future probable realities. Does this make sense first off? Does this make sense? Are you with me so far? All right. So based on the only thing that exists, by the way, is the present moment. That's it. We think by the time the future gets here, it's still this moment right now. The future never comes. Now, the problem for many people with creating their dream life in 2024 and beyond is they're in the vibration of waiting. I'm waiting to go full-time with my passion. I'm waiting to put myself out there. I'm waiting to ask that person out. I'm waiting. The waiting vibration is a different vibration than being. This is why for 2024, if you did one thing, it would change everything. That thing is to start. Everyone write in the chat right now, start. Just start. The moment you start it, the moment you are it. Who you are being right now is what is determining the future probable timelines, which the future doesn't even exist. It's by the time the future gets here. So the key and the transformation behind everything I'm sharing is for you to make the choice to embody your dream life right now in whatever way you can. Start. Just start. I started in 2017, and that's why I'm here today. I was waiting for the right time. I was afraid of what people would think. I was waiting. That was the energy I was in. And therefore, I just kept staying stuck. Many people are stuck because they're not taking action. They're not making a new choice about who they are, and they're not embodying that energy. You don't have to have it all figured out. I didn't know when I started making videos, I was going to make videos on the law of attraction and quantum physics and letting go and all of these like levels of consciousness. I just started, and then it happened. It figured itself out. The moment you start, you put yourself on in your timeline. Now let's look to some of the new content. I haven't even shared the new content yet. Can you believe that? Here is something that I realized in kind of an interesting way. But when we talk about the thing that holds a lot of people back is you believe that this past right here of these past memories is who you are, and you believe that this is what happened in your past. But remember, every time you remember the past, you're recreating it, and you might say this is disillusionment, deluded or not deluded. What's the word? Delusional. Aaron, it's delusional to think that you had a different past. Like if you were to remember, if you had a bad childhood and you remembered a better childhood, that's delusional. But here's the funny, crazy thing. You ready? It's already delusional anyways. Every time you remember something from the past, you take it out of the memory bank, you look at the memory, you impose your own meaning and your own story about it, and then you put it back in the memory bank. Now, by the time you've thought of something 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 100 times, you've completely changed the memory. So what if a lot of the things you remember from your childhood have a skewed perspective based on your interpretation of it? That in the present moment right now you have, and therefore you have, and you reaffirm it over and over again. And there's a momentum to it, but what I'm sharing with you now is you can let go and literally rewrite your past. Now let me tell you how I learned this. So recently, this is one thing I realized too, is the more you go with like Sherlock Holmes with like this magnifying glass, and what you do is you go into your childhood looking for the childhood trauma. Oh my God, mom or dad was emotionally unavailable here. I remember this moment now. Oh my God, I look at this when my brother said this to me and it made me feel this way. Oh my God, I see this, I see that, I see this. The more you look, the more you're going to find. So what ends up happening is based on the meaning as well, that's when it has that level of power over you. And what I realized, especially studying NLP, something called neuro-linguistic programming, just going into the past and looking at it over and over again, it reaffirms the momentum over you in the present moment right now. A lot of that isn't around going through and just re-experiencing it over and over again. It's actually on shifting the pattern. But if you believe you're a new you every moment and you believe and understand that the past and the future is both flexible, you then start to develop more ability to shift in the present moment right now. Now, here's how I learned about it. Experientially. So some of you may know if you've been following my content or you're on my email list, but at the beginning, like about a month ago, my mom passed away. And it was something that for a week I went through, obviously a huge process. I flew back to Vegas, spent time with family. I went through a lot of crying, as you can imagine, a lot of grieving. And what happened is after that, there was this, I went through the grieving stages, which is, of course, first off is denial. And then there's like anger, bargaining, negotiating is what it's called. And eventually there comes a level of acceptance. And the process of going through that, I have videos where I talk about that and I go more in detail, but the reason I'm sharing that with you right now is because after that happened and after I was going through this process and in light at the end of the tunnel, I feel more connected than ever to my mom, and I feel like I have my mom as like a spiritual guide now. But I have a whole video where I kind of talk about her and that process of grieving that's on my channel from a couple days ago, actually. What happened, though, is after she passed away, I started to remember all the good times. I started to remember how much my mom was actually there. My mom and my ex-stepmom are two different people, by the way. I just want to clarify that. They're different. But my mom, who was always there, and even though from 7 to 15 I didn't have much of a relationship with her, that was because my ex-stepmom brainwashed my brother and I. We weren't allowed to see our real mom. Every time we would go see our real mom, we'd come back, like for a weekend, we'd come back and we'd be in just so much trouble that eventually from 7 to 15 we didn't see her. Funny enough, when my mom was, when I was like, so from 7 to 15, the ex-stepmom situation and my dad, just basically where we lived, my mom was told by a psychic lady that when she stopped seeing us so much, psychic said, you're not going to see your kids for a while, but eventually they're going to come back to you in about like 5 years or something like that. And funny enough, that's pretty much what happened. Because after the divorce at 15, then we reconnected with our mom. And then I had all these beautiful memories with my mom. I had all these beautiful memories of my mom, especially after the divorce, and we were allowed to see our real mom. We had all these beautiful memories of hanging out with friends. Like my friends, we'd always go to my mom's house because she was like the cool mom, where we were allowed to like smoke hookah and chill and hang out. It was a big thing back in the day with smoking hookah because you could do that at 18. We would chill and just have this great time, and we had so many good memories with my mom. And there's many stories I could go into, but in general, after she passed, I had all these positive memories. And then as I had all these positive memories that I remembered, it was like it changed me in the present moment, where a lot of the old patterns went away in the present moment right now. So in an interesting way, the past where there was emotional unavailability and all of these other things is there. Now, I'm not saying if you had abuse, because obviously I had abuse from 7 to 15, and many of you have had way worse things happen to you. I'm not saying you say, oh, that was so good. I really enjoyed that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is when you reframe it, what you focus on in your past is what's giving you momentum in the present moment. Maybe, in one way, the past that I went through from 7 to 15 or whatever, when I had no freedom, I believe one of the reasons I am so passionate now about helping people to break out of the limitations that they have is because from 7 to 15, I had no freedom. I was not allowed to have friends. I was not allowed to watch TV. I had to earn going to school activities. I was normally locked outside doing yard work all day. I saw my brother when my mom passed a month ago. I was talking to my brother, and like kind of talking about some of the things that happened. I kind of realized I forgot about some of them, but in general, is it having to sneak food in order to get enough food to eat, have to sneak to the other side of the house and edge parts of food so that no one knew you took food because we were only given a bowl of cereal in the morning, TV dinner at night. Now, I'm not looking to that past and saying, oh my God, that was so amazing, I just love that. But I'm able to see how that limitation, reframe it, and how that has led me, and in an interesting way, I love food now. Which is interesting because my brother, we were deprived food growing up. My brother, he doesn't really care about food at all. Like when I was there, I was like, let's go out to eat, let's do this. He just doesn't care at all, just in general. Even if it was, this stuff didn't happen with my mom, like he just doesn't really care. He's like, he has to force himself to eat. Me, I love food. I focus on how much I love food, and I appreciate that. And it's almost like instead of looking to the past, be like, oh, I wasn't given food from 7 to 15, I had to like steal it and stuff. I'm able to change my relationship to it. Yeah, it's led to me sharing what I share on YouTube. It's led to the beautiful relationship that I had with my mom after the divorce. It's led with a lot of things, but one thing you can do is reframe the things, the meaning you give to the things in the past, see the benefit in it. Because many of you that have been through an awakening have probably been through an awakening because of the stuff you went through earlier on. Is this resonating, what I'm sharing right now? When we talk about all this. So when it comes to reframing for 2000 and this next year, what I'd like for you to do is to begin to look at your past and to see how you could see it in a new way. See how it happened for you and not to you. That transformed my life more than anything. Forgiveness as well. If those of you that don't know the power of Ho'oponopono, I have YouTube videos on this. The power of Ho'oponopono is a healing practice that has to do with 4 simple statements. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And the idea is that as you clean your energetic field, you clean your reality, because the people that you attract into your reality, you're not really attracting other people so much as you're pulling out of those people whatever's in your field that energetically resonates with them. Sometimes you'll pull people into your life where then you learn how to set boundaries. But regardless, if you're bad at setting boundaries, you can change that. There are many people who used to have bad boundaries and have good boundaries. If you work a 9-to-5 job you hate and you want to go full-time with what you love, you can do that. A big part of transformation is understanding that you can shift. Every moment you're a new you. And one of the things that will really help you shift in a very powerful way is understanding this connection to purpose and passion. What are you passionate about? What are you passionate about? You don't have to, purpose and passion, by the way, doesn't have to be one overarching thing. But in the moment, what are you excited about? This is what Bashar talks a lot about. When you think about this, if you think of that of a mountaintop, and imagine this is your ego in the valley. This is your ego. And then imagine there's these big mountains and your higher self with its angelic halos at the top. Now what happens is your higher self is always sending you a frequency, guidance system. This frequency and guidance system is called the feeling of excitement. The physical sensation of excitement is your body's translation of the higher self energy, of the highest vibrational you. When I make videos, there's an energy that flows through. And what I want to encourage every one of you to do for this next year is to focus on becoming a vessel for the divine to flow through you. You don't have to have it all figured out in the valley. And sometimes going up this mountain may not make sense to the ego, but the higher self has a larger view. The higher self can see that if you keep going this direction, you're going to come to this big river that you can't get over. Or they're going to have to build a dam to get over. Or I can see if you just go this other way, there's a slingshot up the mountain. So in every day, if you follow your excitement, in the energy of excitement, you find more probabilities, more synchronicities, and more people that are in alignment with that excitement energy. That excitement could be reading a certain book, following your excitement in the moment, going to the park, eating some delicious food. It doesn't have to be like, oh, Aaron found his excitement of making videos. I need to find my one overarching excitement that I do every day. So realize that your energy in the present moment right now is dictating which probable futures you experience and also what past you experience, what past you remember. So at every moment, you're a new version of you. They've proven this, by the way, as well with many of you have heard of maybe the multiple personality disorder, what they've proven with that. Have you guys heard about this? If you were to take someone with multiple personality disorder and say they have different personalities, what you can measure is that in one moment, one person, let's say his name is Rick, and let's say Rick then shifts to Bob. Let's say Rick has a certain personality, is very positive, very happy, but then shifts into Bob personality. Bob maybe has more anger. Maybe Bob has a different past even. Will literally remember a different past. You didn't remember a show called United States of Terror? I used to watch that back in the day. That was like 15 years ago. But it's like this person with multiple personality disorder, and Buck was one of her personalities, and she would shift into Buck. And Buck was like, you know, she's a wife with a family and kids, but when she would shift into Buck, she'd be like this masculine dude that's like a hillbilly energy. Literally, she had a different past. She had like a different way that she saw herself. Now what happens is when Rick shifts into Bob, Rick may have no cancer. Bob might. You might test Bob 1 minute. 10 minutes later, he shifts into Rick, tests him, and then he has cancer. And then he shifts back into Rick, to Rick and doesn't have it again. Even different eye colors. They've shown this before. That's how quick you shift. Based on a different belief, based on a different identity, different expectation. That's how quick. I share that story and that's that kind of study, which is something they've been proven many times over, because it just shows you how flexible your identity is. At one moment back in 2017, I decided I'm a full-time YouTuber, and in a way I felt like I had a connection to my higher self that said make videos every day on YouTube. Within a very short period of time, my whole entire life changed. My thoughts, feelings, and emotions and actions became this new version of me. And then within 6 months, my whole entire life transformed. So stop waiting. Just start. Just start. What are you waiting for? Waiting for someone to tell you to go for it? Here I am right now telling you to go for it. But you don't need me to tell you to go for it. Just start. Now, so we talked about self-image. The moment you start it, the moment you put yourself on a timeline, your past changes as you do. Now let's talk about this for a minute. Drop importance in the sense of when you're creating this dream version of you, if you put it on a pedestal and you think it'd be amazing if you experienced it, oh my God, it would feel so good to be this version of you. It's energetically on a pedestal and it's further away. You want to have the image, the self-image, where it is natural for you. Everyone type in the chat, see it as natural. See it as natural. By the time I became the version of me that does what I love, that makes videos, that travels the world, it's natural for me. It's equal to my identity. If it's on this big pedestal, it's not natural for your identity. You want it to be natural for you. So when you're visualizing it, and we're going to do that here in a couple minutes with this guided meditation, you want to imagine that it is who you choose to be and that it is natural for you. You want to become aware of importance. It's going to be a big focus of the 21-day challenge that is coming up. We are going to be doing a 21-day challenge on that of 1/11, January 11th, for 21 days. I'll be going live for 9 days throughout that. We'll be doing breath work. We're going to be learning about parallel reality shifting. We're going to be learning about a lot of this stuff. I'll talk more about that later. But anyways, this is a big part of it. Importance made me remember it. But now when you are on the vibration that you prefer, what happens is when you're in the state alone, you attract new things into your life that are equal to that state. So for example, whenever I'm doing a live event, that is now my highest vibrational excitement. It's when I'm going live. Either I'm live here right now with 2,000 people, or I'm live at a live event in person. When I am live, what happens is I'm in a certain frequency where literally new opportunities come into my life, even that are unrelated. I get offered to go on big podcasts. I get all these opportunities that come when I'm in the frequency of it. So the moment you commit to it, understand that as you commit to this version of you and of following that excitement, you then will perceive of new opportunities. A lot of times this holds people back because they're like, I want to attract love. I want to attract all these things. When if you were to just get in alignment and follow your passion, you're then being the most authentic version of you. And then the momentum you build begins to grow. The momentum begins to grow because you're in a certain momentum of that passion. It's also something called the winner's effect. There's a whole day in the new 21-day challenge we're doing on the winner's effect. There's a science behind winning. And if you can prime yourself to feel like you're winning because you don't set these really big goals that are like outcome focused, instead it's focused on identity focus, that will put you on a more positive timeline. Think about that. Every moment, the choices you make at the present moment right now are determining the timeline you're on. If you have, this has to happen for me to feel successful, all these amazing high things on a pedestal, instead, you give yourself little wins along the way of you becoming this new identity. It's like every time I do a live event, it's already a win because I'm doing it. When I made a video back in 2017, just making the video was a win. Learning a new thing on a editing software was a win. Having one positive comment, see it helps one person, was a win. Every time I did it, it reaffirmed that identity, and that winning vibration keeps momentum. So you can create this momentum of this new you through your identity. Now everyone type in, your identity is what you commit to. Identity equals commitment. Identity equals commitment. Your identity is what you commit to. Now, what is the difference between being committed and being interested? If you're committed to something or you're interested to something, think and look at those two different vibrations. If you're interested in going full-time with your passion, what are you going to do? You might read a book. You might watch a YouTube video. You might dabble in it and talk about it with your friends. But if you're committed, what will you do? If a little setback comes, are you going to give up? No, because you're committed. Your identity is what you commit to. Now, everyone watching this right now, I want you to commit to one thing for me. Please. Please just commit to this for me. Don't believe you need one more YouTube video, one more idea, one more piece of content that you need to consume for you to be ready. It's time to stop learning information, and it's time to start being. It's time to start embodying. My life did not change from one new YouTube idea that I learned, watching all these seminars and things back in 2017. My life shifted when I started. You learn through action. The more action you take, that is part of the vibration of the reality you want to experience. And through the action, you learn. You learn, you say, oh, I'm kind of afraid of this. That's okay. The way out is through. The fear is there just to keep you in familiar anyways. It's not even real. You know how many times I was afraid to do something and I did it and I realized, oh my God, it was just in my mind. You want to commit to a new you, and you want to let the divine to flow through you with an intention of adding value out into the world in this next year. And understand the power of persistence and commitment. I'll give one more story on this, and then we're going to go into the meditation. How does that sound? Let's talk about persistence. Persistence is something that can build the more that you realize you already have it. All of the things you want to create in your life, by the way, you already have. You want more money. You say, I don't have the money. Then what does the money bring to you? Probably freedom or security. You can feel freedom and security by being grateful for what you already have. Gratitude is a unifying factor of your reality. If you can feel grateful, and that's one huge epiphany of mine this last year too, is using my imagination. The imagination is the connection to the divine. It's like the door, it's like the ladder to the divine. You can imagine the new you. Think, feel, act as that new you in your imagination. Feel it as if it's happening now, and then come out of that meditation and literally be that version of you. You're connecting to the quantum field and bringing forward more opportunities, more synchronicities, and more people that are in alignment with that energy you grow within your field. Now, when we talk about commitment, when we talk about consistency, when we talk about persistence, understand you set the frame for the things in your life. People are responding to the energy you put out. And if someone tells you no for something you want to act on with your dream, or you get rejected somehow, understand it's only rejection if you see it as rejection. Back in 2000, when was this? 2009 probably. I originally got the job when I worked at Nordstrom Rack. Before I even went to the full line Nordstrom. I worked in women's shoes. Actually, I got rejected first off. Listen to this. I go into Nordstrom Rack in Las Vegas. It's an hourly job, not commission. But I go in there and I want a job as that of men's clothes. There's a guy named Ibrahima who was there, who was interviewing me. He interviewed me. I thought I did great. He called me 3 days later and said he didn't get the job. I went with someone else. I was like, what? I was like, pretty cool. I thought I did great. I was like, whatever, it's okay. It's not important. Maybe it's not meant to be, whatever. 2 days later, I get a call from a lady named Liz. Liz was the women's shoe manager, and she said, hey, I know you didn't apply for women's shoes, but Ibrahima interviewed you and said you were great, but he ended up going with someone else. Do you want to come in for an interview? I said, okay. So I went in for an interview and ended up getting the job working at Nordstrom Rack. Now, once I worked at the Rack, I met some people that would come in from the full line store to come into the Rack because they would buy shoes there because they got a discount. And everyone I talked to that was there that I connected with was like, oh, you would be great at the full line store. You have such a charismatic personality. And I started talking to one of them who actually became one of my friends later on, which is funny. I worked with her in the same department. But anyway, this one person, I was like, how much do you guys make per hour? She goes, well, it's commission. She's like, on average, like $20, $30 an hour, which back in the day was so much money. I know now like $20, $30 an hour is like minimum wage. Not everywhere, but it's like much more common now. I see signs going through Austin, Texas, where it's like $20, $25 an hour starting wage for like working at a taco shop. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Which is good. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying back in the day, I got paid $7 an hour for a while, you know? But nonetheless, I ended up getting that job and then was hearing about how the full line store, you got paid commission. So then I talked to the managers there and I said, I want to transfer to the full line store. I want to eventually work here. That's my end goal. And they said, yeah, after 6 months, you can transfer there, Aaron. You just have to be a really good employee while you're here. And after 6 months, we'll transfer you to the full line store. That's what they told me. So I said, okay, cool. So I showed up on time, a great employee, consistent. And then at the end of the 6 months, I say, okay, guys, it's been 6 months. I want to transfer to the full line store. And you want to know what they told me? They had such a high turnover rate at Nordstrom Rack because people would come and they leave, and I was a consistent employee. They said, you know what, Aaron? We don't want to set you up for failure. You're not ready to go to the full line store. You're going to have to keep working here. And then for a day, I'm like, what the hell? Like, I'm not ready. I was like, I feel like I am ready. I'm like the best. I looked around. I was like, I'm like one of the best employees here. I show up on time. I've been here for 6 months, longer than a lot of these other people. So then eventually they said, you're not ready. So what I said is, I don't buy that. What I did is I bought a suit. I went to the full line store, and at the fashion show mall in Las Vegas, I went into Brass Plum Shoes, which is like women's shoes. And I said, I'd like to speak to the store manager. And they said, why? Or something. They're like, why do you want to speak to the store manager? And they they literally weren't going to call the store manager because I was just wanting, like, if you want a job interview, you apply online and you get the interview if you're lucky. I pretended like I had a customer issue. I was like, I need to speak to our manager. And I said it with a serious tone, and then they were like, okay. And I was like, I'm not leaving until I speak to the store manager. And then they called up the store manager, and I waited like 30 minutes. And out comes this lady named Lori Joe. I remember all these names because it was impactful. Down comes Lori Joe, and she talked to me, and I told her, I said, listen, my name's Aaron. I'm very much into self-help. I'm very much into, I think I'd be a great salesperson here. I love talking to people. I love, giving great customer service at the rack. I believe I'm ready to come over here. I put in the request to the management team, but they don't want me to come over here because I'm such a good employee. I literally said that. I was like, I kind of called them out a little bit. I was like, I show up consistently on time, and I think they don't want me coming over here because they don't want to have to fill my spot. But this is, I believe I'd be a great salesperson, blah, blah, blah. But they don't want me to come over here. She goes, well, it's a pleasure meeting you, and I'm going to see what I can't do for you. So a couple days later, I go back to the rack for work. I get called into the office. You know what they said? They said, you know what? We don't think you're ready, but what we're going to do is we're going to push you through to the full line store. And what I knew happened is the manager called and said, they said, no, Aaron's not ready. She said, doesn't matter. Aaron's coming over anyways. And then basically I had to go over. So then what happened is I transferred from the rack to the full line store. And every month there was this monthly meeting that we would have. And at this monthly meeting, people would be called out that were good salespeople. We'd go over numbers and all that stuff. And what happened is after like 3 months of being there, I got what is called the All-Star Award. The All-Star Award means you give great customer service. My sales were also really good. So at this meeting where the rack managers were there, I got called up and they said, Aaron is only one person becomes an All-Star every month. I got the All-Star Award, and I remember walking up there to get this little stupid award or whatever, but then looking at the managers at the rack, thinking to myself, oh, you set me up for failure, didn't you? Now, the reason I share that story with you is because it took persistence. It took commitment. It took someone telling me no, but me to hold my own frame. For me to be aligned to this version of me that I chose to be, committed to it. When I got told no, I still went and figured it out. I remember years later, even a couple years ago, I had this assistant that he told me that just being around me, he was able to see like a new way of being, because one time we were in Sedona at the time, and we were meeting at this restaurant, and I called the restaurant and they said that they had availability, and I said, I'm going to be there in 10 minutes. Do I need to put myself on the list? I'm going to be there in 10 minutes to like sit down or whatever. And they said, we have a spot for you. Don't even worry about it. I don't even have to put you on the list. I said, okay. I'm there 10 minutes later, just like I said. And I go up to the front. It was a different person than I talked to on the phone. And I was with my assistant at the time. And we were like, he was like, oh, I'm sorry that all the tables are full or whatever. And there were still some tables I could see or whatever. But they were like, oh, we can't, it's gonna be like at least half an hour to an hour. And I said, no, I just called. And they said that I was literally just on the phone. And they said, if I was here within 10 minutes, I'd get the table. And he was like, yeah, there's nothing available. And I was like, I was adamant. I was with conviction. I was like, basically just expressing, this is what happened. This is like, basically just holding my frame. And what they did is he just figured it out. He went and got a table and we sat down. But I remember my old assistant telling me later, like that way of being is like what he needed to see, because he realized that he was kind of going through life. If someone says no, it's like, okay. And I was like, just persistent. I'm like, I drove here. Time is valuable. You said that this was here. I just did what you said. Let's do it. And then they found a spot. We ended up sitting down and eating. But the point is, when it comes to being spiritual, sometimes there's like this spiritual soft energy. And I'm not saying you need to force everything in your life and you need to become super rigid. I'm saying focus on what you want to create in your life. Focus on embodying it. But if other people don't agree with it, if other people don't understand you, it's okay. You get to be the one to decide who you are. You get in life a direct reflection of what and who you are being and what you commit to. Okay? Now, what we're going to do real quick is we are going to connect to that of a quick meditation for connecting to the group energy, and then also a meditation for really connecting to this version of you energetically and feeling it as if it's already here now. How many of you are excited about that? One sec. I gotta move this little light because it's... Okay. So, someone's asking, do I still use the gateway experience? Yes, I do. Gateway experience is like I use the frequencies, and a lot of my meditations are inspired by the gateway experience. Okay. Let's go a little bit further down. We're going to do a meditation now for wiring in this higher vibrational you. We're going to be tapping into the energy of literally 2,000 people-ish here right now, and however many people watch the replay. So, let's go ahead now. Who is ready? Who's excited to do this meditation? Basically, the meditation is going to be just for you connecting to this future version of you and you giving yourself permission to be it. The meditation will be pretty short, actually. It's not going to be a 30-minute one. I want you just to tap into this relaxation in your body, and with your imagination, understand that your imagination, you might see and be visual. You might not be. That's okay. You might be more auditory where you can hear. That's okay too. You might not be. That's also okay. You might just cognizantly feel. That's okay too. Everyone's imagination is a little bit different with the way that we work through it because we all have a different mode for how we experience sensation. You can lay down or sit down, either one. But basically, I want you to imagine that this version of you, understand it already exists, and what you're going to do is energetically tune to it. And what I'm going to do now, can you hear the music? Does the music sound good against my voice? Can you guys hear the music? Let me see a 1 if you can hear the music. Okay. We're going to get into this guided group energy meditation. Does it sound good in combination with my voice? How about like that? How does that sound? Because I'll be speaking a little bit softer with every word you hear. Buttery smooth voice. You ready? Little loud on music? Or is the music perfect? Such a fine line. Like this is... It's about as... That's crazy. It's perfect. Okay. Let's all set the intention right now to shift our frequencies and to wire in the most powerful year we have ever had yet. When we use the power of group intention, we can create magic in our reality. And we're going to use the power of group intention to imagine ourselves all shifting into a new energy. So let's go ahead now and take a deep breath in through the nose. Let it all go. Take in another deep breath in through the nose. Let it all go. And understand, with every breath you take, you feel yourself become more and more relaxed. Go ahead and close your eyes now. and allow yourself to sink deeper and deeper into more and more relaxation. Now imagine wherever you put your energy, you feel your body relax more and more. Bring your energy now to your head, to your forehead, and imagine it loosening up and relaxing any tension. Bring it down to your jaw, melting away any stress. Down your neck, into your left arm, your left hand, your right arm, your right hand. Releasing any tension. Bring the energy now through your chest into your heart. Set the intention for your heart to open up more and more, letting the energy expand around your heart. Bring that energy now down into your hips. Your left leg and foot. Your right leg and foot. Notice the temperature in the air, the sensation, whether you're sitting or lying down. And notice how relaxed you feel, how that relaxation is deepening. Now imagine yourself on that of a beautiful beach. This is a place you can go anytime you want to connect to the sacred place within you. On this sacred beach, what do you see as you look around? What do you hear? How do you feel? Just trust whatever that is. Maybe you can feel the breeze. See the waves crashing against the ocean. Hearing the sound of the waves. Feeling the sand underneath your feet. And now, in this sacred place, on this beautiful beach, call upon your higher self or your spiritual guides to come assist you in downloading the energy of a new you. Imagine them coming, surrounding you. And if there's any message that they have, ask what that message is. Is there anything they want you to know? And now ask for them to help you to either visualize, feel, download, or hear you shifting into the reality that already exists of you living in your dream life, bringing you to a specific situation that really represents you feeling, thinking, acting as that version of you. What is that situation? See through your own eyes. What would you see? What would you hear? What would you feel? Whatever you see, imagine it becoming brighter and brighter. Whatever you hear, imagine it louder and louder. Whatever you feel, imagine it amplifying inside your heart, inside your heart. Feel the gratitude of you in this version of you. What would you be grateful for? Feel the gratitude in your heart. Now your higher self, your spiritual guides want you to know that this version of you already exists, and that now you are going to download it into your consciousness. You're going to amplify it in your heart. And you will plant the seeds of this new you. Now imagine with your spiritual guides around you right now, your higher self. Set the intention to amplify this love inside of your heart. And set the intention that everyone doing this meditation right now amplifies that energy in their heart. And imagine them experiencing incredible transformation this year. And as you do it for them, they do it for you. Now, what we are going to do is use the frequency of Om together. This frequency will activate that energy inside of your heart, will increase it, and allow it to ripple out all of your reality. With every Om you do, you'll be wiring in this vibration more and more. And moving forward, you will feel like a new version of you. Now ask for your guides and higher self. Give them permission to assist you. And let's set that group intention together to transform this year for ourselves more than ever before. And let's also imagine a higher vibrational reality. Let's imagine people getting along, cleaning up the planet, people feeling more love with each other. And feel that gratitude. Let's feel the gratitude for it already being the case, it already existing. Now breathe in a deep breath through your nose, and on the out breath, you can Om with me. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Imagine a ball of energy in your heart, spinning faster and faster. And the faster it spins, the more this love you feel. With another Om, let's allow it to speed up, double in vibration. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Allowing that vibration to spin faster and faster. Now feel the gratitude in your heart for all the love. Feel the gratitude for something you're grateful for. And imagine this ball of energy spinning faster and faster. With this final Om, you will feel the energy around you expand. Put your hands over your heart now. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Allowing that energy to expand around you, knowing that you have shifted the energy in your field, which will then shift your life. Imagine that now the floodgates of love have opened out of your heart, allowing yourself to feel more connected to life. Set the intention to trust this process and to celebrate the wins along the way, knowing that every moment you are a new version of you. Now thank your higher self and spiritual guides for assisting you, knowing they're always with you. And now bring your energy back into this room, back to wherever you are. When you open up your eyes, you will feel alert, present, and in your heart. Go ahead and bring the awareness in your hands and your feet. I'm going to count down from 5. By the time you reach 1, you'll feel alert, present, and in your heart. 5, 4, bring the energy inside of your legs and your arms. 3, feel it inside of your spine now. 2, bringing your energy back into this moment. And 1, go and open up your eyes now. Open up your eyes. And how do you feel? We had almost 2,000 people meditating on that, which is a very powerful number of people. How do you feel? Fantastic. Awesome. Great. Amazing. Awesome. Happy to hear that. Yeah, the power of us. I'm going to answer some questions for a minute. If you have some questions, feel free to put it in. And this new you, embarking on this new you, really is about a choice that you make. It's about starting. It's about aligning your frequency and understanding that you can use the power of meditation to wire in this new you. You can use the power of this, understanding that it already exists. Now, if you want me to do more lives like this, can you like this video? You're listening to this right now and you want me to do more, like this video, and I'll be able to see, especially on Sundays. If you want me to do them on Sundays, let me know. But like this video if you want me to do more. And then also, go ahead and put in questions. Let me see if there's questions. Let's see. Awesome. Yeah, so creating the new you really is a choice that you make. Watching more videos, getting more ideas is just the ego preservation mechanism that's trying to keep you the same. Nice. Yeah, did anyone cry? Some people are saying they cried. Sometimes that happens. It's not bad. It didn't work if you didn't cry. Then you'd be envy of, call that journey envy. Nice. Let's see. If you have questions, feel free to put them in. I do plan on doing a live event within the next, I think in the end of February. It'll be here in Austin. Now, one thing we will be doing soon, if you guys haven't heard, I know I mentioned it earlier, the 21-day New You Challenge is coming up on January 11th. It's 21 days to a new you, activating your highest timeline. Let me show you the schedule. Anyone want to see the schedule? Let me see. Am I able to present? I don't know what that looks like. There is a schedule. Let me see. I don't know. Share screen. Oh, maybe I could just do this. One sec. Let me try this. Yeah, with 2 monitors. Okay. Can you guys all see this? You guys able to see this? Here is the New You Challenge. It's going to be the 11th through the 31st. All of these yellow sessions are live days. So I go live every Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, and then Wednesday's the last day. It's all around activating a new you. If you want to see more of what it's about too, this is the page right here. It's 21daynewYouChallenge.com. And basically the days, it's 21 days. There's live calls. You'll see it here, the different days, but there's different lessons throughout. We will be learning and doing that of guided meditation, just like you all did. There will be breath work that's in it as well. I'll be teaching the revision technique. wiring in a new self-image. This is ways if you want to wire all of this stuff in. It is available right now to join by going to 21daynewYouChallenge.com. I'll also put the link here so you can join if you want. And there's a bonus you get for joining today as well, which is the last live LA event we did. We did QHHT past life hypnosis. It's very powerful. That's a bonus you get if you join as well. And other than that, let me go ahead and, yeah, that's what's going on right now. Is this a part of FTP? No, this is not. Nice. The lives are going to be at the same time as this one, 9 o'clock PST. And then there will be replays. If you want to join, you'll see the link there. Go to 21 Day New You Challenge. That meditation made me realize I'm afraid of my highest timeline. I'm scared to become a new version of myself. A lot of times becoming a new version of ourselves means getting out of the familiar. And getting into the unknown is scary sometimes. So being aware of that is very powerful. And knowing that that's what it is. That's what's trying to keep you where you currently are. Nice. Some people worked at Nordstrom's. Yeah, it's in a Facebook group, but there's also a Zoom. It's on Zoom. It's all via Zoom. It's kind of like, also it's more dynamic where I will be coaching people one-on-one versus just sharing like it is here. It's kind of hard to do on YouTube. Let's see. Nice. Yeah, we'll put the link in the description. The link's also right here if anyone wants to join. And then, yeah, starting in that of, and there'll be about an hour, hour and a half, kind of like this one was. What is this one, like 2 hours almost? 1.5 hours. Let's see. I worry about leaving certain people behind, but that's not always the case. Some will shift and grow with you, right? Some will shift and grow with you. It's not something that you can really control, though. The more you commit to your own process, the more you also your own authenticity, it will both repel people that no longer resonate with the real you, as well as attract into your life the people that resonate with the new you. Genetic predispositions. To approach limiting beliefs. A lot of this can also be connected to, like, when it comes to epigenetics, for example. When you talk about, like, things that are inherently genetic, what happens is a lot of it has to do with the environment also affecting whether that is actually activated. You could say it's also from the past generations, it's from the parents, but also it has to do with environment, it has to do with beliefs. That's how they get activated. So a very powerful thing is just to see, with shifting your beliefs, what can actually happen there. Yeah. But is reality static? That's one thing you want to become aware of. Nice. Awesome. Yeah, everything is shifting in every moment. We're constantly shifting. We're constantly a new version of you. You're constantly a new version of you. The only thing that keeps you stuck is the story about who you are that keeps you stuck. Your dominant stories about reality are what are attracting the people into your life and the things into your life. When you become aware of the stories, that's when you become free. Because then you see it for what they are, stories. They're just stories. What if you had a story that just life just keeps getting better and better? What if you had a story and a belief that you just always attract the right people at the right time? So anyways, if you want me to do more like this, maybe I will. Other than that, I want to thank you all for being here. Hope to see you on the 21-day challenge coming up. Wanted to just help all of you wire in a new version of you. Whether you joined the 21-day challenge or not, I really wanted you to get value from today. I hope you did. You can come back to this meditation whenever you want. I'm going to leave this live on the channel afterwards, so it will live on afterwards. Other than that, thank you so much for being here. And as always, I'll talk to you on the next one. Peace, much love, and namaste.